Hello students, third lecture on first chapter. Now we're going to talk about the different another branch of physical geography. We covered geomorphology, biogeography, climatology, meteorology. Now we'll just see what we can cover here. Oceanography, hydrology. This is the study of water resource, water cycle, movement and distribution of quality water on Earth and other planets. Now, oceanography. Hydrology is the third topic what you all will have. So we'll go in detail about it on that when we come across with that lesson. Oceanography for now, it is the study of physical and biological aspects of the ocean. Oceanographer, researchers, the coastal environments of the planet and to find out how humans, coastal life and coastal physical features interact with each other. Now, when we talk about oceanography, about three-fourths of the globe is covered by the hydrosphere, land and water, water. Three-fourths of the earth is covered with water. That comprises of 70.8%. Now, the study of hydrosphere, oceans and seas is called oceanography, which includes the description and analysis of physical and biological aspects of hydrosphere. The science of oceans, that is oceanography, it includes marine geology, marine geomorphology, physical oceanography, chemistry of oceanic water, and uh, geomorphology and biooceanography. Now, the origin of oceanobases, continental drift, we all know about that, seafloor spreading structure, crust and mantle, that is the interior of the earth, characteristics of ocean deposits, and characteristics and origin of marine landforms are studied in marine geology and geomorphology. Physical oceanography, it includes the consideration of physical properties of ocean water. Anything what is related or in relation to oceans and seas is study. That study is called oceanography. Marine, whatever comes under marine, oceans, seas, all of that comes under oceanography. Now, recently marine meteorology was included in oceanography, wherein the atmospheric conditions over ocean water are studied. Biooceanography, what does this include? The distribution, the characteristics of the marine organisms which are living inside, students. Now, there is a sub branch of oceanography which is biooceanography, which deals with the living organisms which are there, a marine life or marine organisms living and studying them. How was uh, the evolution, uh, more introduction about the evolution, the distribution and characteristics of that also is under biooceanography. The study of seas and ocean, it dates back to the ancient period of before Christ, and this was based on empirical observations. Empirical observations means observations which are done through your senses. Observations which are done through your senses. This period was like the period from 15th to 16th century is called Great Age of Discovery. Now, students, when you get a topic or a long question about oceanography, you have to write all what is important and relevant to the topic of oceanography. There are different scientists, there are different people who have had their own contributions towards this term oceanography, and how over a period of time, different centuries, how things have changed and how oceanography has been further it has been altered according to the different observations and the researches done on lands and on seas and oceans. So the period from 15th to 16th century is called Great Age of Discovery because The efforts were made to discover and explore. Students, we have learned it in junior classes. We very well know that Columbus discovered America. Vasco da Gama, he was the first person who reached India, and Magellan, who circumnavigated the globe during this period. So, all these three people, what we know, these all things have happened between a period of 15th to 16th century. That's Columbus, Vasco da Gama, and Magellan, who circumnavigated. Now, what all we can understand from this is, now the study of seas and oceans, it began its theoretical basis um, since 17th century, and mathematical methods, statistics, quantitative methods, scientific principles were used in the 17th century of empirical knowledge and description. Empirical knowledge, when we talk about, it is all related to your senses, observations, methods, quantitative. It all means that. Ocean tides became the focal theme, the most important theme of study. Detailed studies were carried out regarding the mapping of ocean depth, variation in horizontal and vertical distribution of salinity, pressure of ocean water, ocean tides, and currents on the basis of investigation of these variables, which is an again famous place which you all are well aware of, is Gibraltar Strait. We all know about Newton. We've studied about Newton in physics also. So Newton, he presented his theory of the origin of ocean tides. This remained for a period uh, till 17th and 19th century. The study of the subject again received attention with the exploration of South Pacific region by Captain James Cook. Marsigli for the first time presented the description of regional oceanography, regional oceanography based on what? Based on the studies of bottom relief, temperature, salinity, water pressure, tides, and currents of the Mediterranean Sea. So all of this what I have spoken about, when you are writing about oceanography separately, these all people have to be mentioned point wise and have to have some, the way you write it has to make complete sense. Now, what is the importance of physical? Before that, I think there's one more, that is pedology, that is soil studying. Now, it is a distribution of soil types and properties and processes, understanding the processes of soil formation, studying the soil types, their properties. It is related, pedology. Study of soils is called pedology. Pedology is the study of the distribution of soil types and properties and the processes of soil formations. It is related to both geomorphic process of rock breaking up and weathering we know, wearing away, and biological processes of growth, decaying. Decaying happens in soil because there are living organisms in soil. So it is both geomorphic and biological process which are influenced by the temperature, the availability of moisture, and the patterns which are related to climate. So students, this comprises of the different branches of physical geography. Now, what is the importance of physical geography here? We need to understand that. Physical geography. Physical geography includes study of lithosphere, land, atmosphere, air, hydrosphere, water, and biosphere. All these three comprises of biosphere and geosphere also. Geosphere also, I will give you all some information about that. Each element is very important for human beings. Landforms provide base for agriculture, industries, transport and communication and settlements. Mountains provide water to rivers, forest center for tourist spots. Climate influences on the cropping pattern, livestock, food and clothes of the people. Climate and precipitation influence the type of forests. Oceans provide food, water, transport and influence the climate. They are a source of hydrological cycle. This will be there further in your semester. So this is the importance of physical geography. Geomorphology, we already know it is connected with landforms. So it is devoted to the study of landforms, their evolution and their related processes. Climatology, I have explained to you all, it encompasses the study of structure of atmosphere and elements of weather and climates and climatic types and regions. Hydrology studies the realm of water over the surface of the earth, including oceans, lakes, rivers, and other water bodies, and its effect on different life forms, including human life and their activities. Soil geography, just a minute ago I told you all, pedology. Pedology is study of soil. So soil geography is devoted to the study of soil formation, soil types, their status, their fertility, distribution, all of that, their properties, all of that comes under pedology. And this is how all these sub branches all put together make physical geography an important part of geography. Now, this is what I was talking about. Geo means rock. Hydro means water. Whenever you all are going to study, your first semester is based on this itself. So when we are talking about first chapter, that's geography, it means rock related geomorphology, landforms and rocks. Geology, hydrology or hydro means water. Atmo means air, atmosphere. Biosphere means life. That is lithosphere, atmosphere and hydrosphere. All of that put together makes the biosphere. That gets us to the other topic. Now all I have completed in the first lesson, I have completed geography, nature, scope, elements, importance of geography. Then we went to physical geography. What is physical geography? What is the importance of physical geography? The different branches of physical geography. I covered oceanography, hydrology, pedology, climatology, meteorology, biogeography, and some other different types of different studies also we have covered. So all of that is done. Now we come to the last topic in this, that's the Earth system. Now, what is the Earth system? The Earth basically is the third planet from the Sun between Venus and Mars. And it revolves around the Sun, which takes, we know how much time it takes. So it takes a period of 365.26 days. The Earth is made up of several layers and each has its unique properties. It is unique and it enables life to exist and if it affects the inner processes of the earth differently. The layers are from the exterior to the interior and are included in four sections. First, before we get to the four sections, that is the crust, the mantle, the outer core and the inner core. Before we get to that, we'll understand about the four spheres of the earth system. Now, first of all, let's understand what is the earth system. A system is a group of related objects or parts that work together to form a whole. In simple terms, we put these two terms together. What is a earth system? A system is a group of related objects or parts that work together to form a whole. The earth system is all of matter, energy, and processes within the earth's boundary. The earth system is all of matter, energy and processes within Earth's boundary. Earth in itself is a complex system. It is full of living and non-living things and the matter and energy that is there in it. Now here again, a system is a group of parts that work together as a whole. We studied this. The constant flow or cycling of matter through the system is driven by energy. There is energy, so there are processes happening. Now, the constant flow or cycling of matter through the earth system is driven by energy. Energy is the ability to do work. Energy that drives the Earth system has two main sources. Energy depends on what? And what is this energy which is driving the Earth system is depending on two sources: heat from the sun and heat flowing out of the Earth as it cools. I again repeat, energy that drives the Earth system has two main sources, that is, heat from the sun and heat flowing out of the Earth as it cools. Look at this. This is a picture which can give you some information about how the Earth system is and how does Earth make it. Earth is a unique planet because it enables life to exist. There are different properties, characteristics, and the compositions of the inner processes of the Earth, which we'll be studying again in detail in the later chapters. So this is geosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere, and that is the atmosphere, the clouds. Now all of this comprises the Earth system. Now the Earth's atmosphere. First understand what is the Earth's atmosphere. Earth's atmosphere is a layer of gases surrounding the planet. The Earth is surrounded by the blanket of air, which we call the atmosphere. It reaches over 560 kilometers from the surface of the Earth. Now, what does atmosphere do? Atmosphere basically it absorbs the energy from the sun. Atmosphere recycles water and other chemicals. We all know that atmosphere is a mixture of nitrogen, oxygen and other gases, and it high above the planet the atmosphere becomes thinner. This is something which we all know. We all know that it is divided into five layers. Now atmosphere itself is another topic which these five layers we are going to study. So for now, for this chapter, we need to know what does atmosphere do. It traps heat. It makes the earth a comfortable temperature at a comfortable temperature, and the oxygen within our atmosphere is essential. We need oxygen to survive. The atmosphere protects and supports life. It protects us from high energy radiation and the frigid vacuum space. Now, we completely don't understand atmosphere, but whatever we understand, whatever we can make out of it is something that atmosphere is important because it provides one gas, which is oxygen, which is important for the survival of life, or it supports life. Now, geosphere. When I was talking about the geosphere, I told you it is. Basically, the geosphere is nothing but the solid portion of Earth that includes the interior structure, rocks and minerals, landforms down to the deep depths of the core, and the process that shape the Earth's surface. Plate tectonics, you all know when we studied it in when we do the sudden movements, when we are studying movements. Plate tectonics is important in shaping the surface of the Earth. The primary driving mechanism is the Earth's internal heat, such as that in mantle convection. Now, the fourth we are going to talk about is the Earth's liquid water constitutes the hydrosphere. The vast majority of Earth's water is in the oceans, with smaller but geologically important quantities of fresh water in lakes, rivers, and groundwater. The components of the hydrosphere as well as the cirrosphere. Now, cirrosphere is frozen water. The atmosphere and the biosphere participate in the hydrological cycle. Earth's water supply has had since Earth was created. Major influences on Earth's climate, its landscape and mineralogy, the composition of its atmosphere and on the origin and evolution of water. When we talk about hydrosphere, we need to understand that hydrosphere it's a discontinuous layer of water at or near the Earth's surface. Basically, it is a discontinuous layer of water at or near Earth's surface. It includes all liquid and frozen water, glaciers, you all know, groundwater we know, which is held in soil and rock, and atmospheric water vapor. Water is everywhere on Earth. Three-fourths of Earth is covered with water. 70% of the Earth is covered with water. There is a giant blue sphere from space, especially on the Pacific Ocean side. If you see visiting the planet as an alien, that's what it is said. So this cycle consists of a group of reservoirs containing water processes by which water is transferred from one reservoir to an other. The hydrosphere includes all the water on near the Earth's surface. Water in the oceans, lakes, rivers, wetlands, polar ice caps, soil, rock layers beneath the Earth, and clouds. The biosphere. The last one is biosphere. There's one more which we'll be talking about. The biosphere is also known as ecosphere, and it is a sum of all ecosystem. It is also known as ecosphere, and it is sum of all the ecosystem. It can be termed as the zone of life on Earth. Now, it includes all places where we find life on Earth, that is hydrosphere, ocean, ice caps, and all other bodies. Lithosphere. Lithosphere is the next chapter which we'll be talking about. This is another sphere of Earth, lower portions of the atmosphere. It is basically termed as the zone of light. It is a closed system, and biospheres basically they are made up of the lithosphere, the atmosphere, and the hydrosphere all put together. Now here, when I talk about human geography, I just wanted to tell you all what human geography was in in a better way. Human geography basically reads with social cultural geography, which covers the study of society and its dynamics and the cultural elements, population, that is density, distribution, sex ratio, migration. When we talk about population, we already know the topics which are included in population geography. Settlements is human settlements. If you all can recollect, we know about nucleated, linear, circular, all of those settlements, rural and urban settlements. We have studied about the differences between the rural and urban settlements. Economic geography. Economic geography I had spoken about in the first lecture. Economic geography studies the economic activities, which economics is related to um, geography, production and distribution. So it studies economic activities of the people comprising agriculture, industries, production, services, manufacturing. Services is the different kinds of services, transportation services, trade is external, internal, domestic, international trade, import, export. Transportation is also one kind of, it is related to economic geography. The infrastructure, basically, if there's good infrastructure, there'll be better settlements and the standard of living rises. Historical geography also comes under human geography. So, historical geography studies the historical courses through which the space gets organized, and the geographical features also experience temporal changes which form the concerns of historical geography. Then when we talk about political geography, what does political geography mean? When we talk about political geography, it is a study concerned with the study of spatial uneven results of political development. It is a study of standard of living and quality of human life. Basically, when I'm talking about human geography, students, human geography, it covers the evolution of mankind. Human geography covers the subject of mankind, the different races, their distribution. See, when we talk about population, think of population, economic, settlements. All this is related to human geography. Medical geography, it is the study of distribution. Now, medical is related to mankind. So it is the study of whether it's plants, animals, also living organisms. It is a study of distribution of spatial or seasonal incidences of epidemic. When we talk about settlements, also settlements, mankind or living organisms, where are they settling, where are they functioning, how are they built up, why are they built up. Urban geography, I've already spoken about urban geography. There is less theory of environmental. It is widely accepted today. It is not the physiobiological environments alone which determine the man's ability to make the best use of natural resources around him, but the philosophy of life and technical skill which man has required are the main determining factors of human geography. Then tourism geography also, think of in terms of human geography. That's why it comes as a branch of human geography. So we studied about the different branches of physical geography, we are going to I got you all introduced to the various branches of human geography. Tourism geography, it is the study of travel and travel as an industry and a social cultural activity. Quantitative methods, this branch of geography uses mathematical techniques and models to test hypotheses. If yes, how? If no, why? Quantitative methods are often used in many other branches, but some geographers specialize in quantitative methods, mathematics, calculations, statistics, all of that comes. Cartography, this is an art and science of making maps in the oldest of geographic techniques. Now, GIS, as I said, is a branch of geography that develops databases of geographic information and system to display geographic data in map-like format. You all are seeing GPS when you want to take help of Google to reach to a certain place. Usually when we are traveling, we switch on the Google. This is a new way of understanding roads. How much time will you take to reach your destination? How many kilometers is it away? Where is the traffic? Where is it isolated? Where will it take time? Which route, direction, all of that comes in this GPS, GIS. Remote sensing. Remote sensing utilizes satellites and sensors to examine features on or near the Earth's surface from a distance. A geographer in remote sensing analyzes data and remote sources to develop information about a place where direct information or direct observation is not possible or practical. So students, here we come to an end of chapter 1, that's Introduction to Physical Geography. The last topic what we did was Earth system, which covers lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere and biosphere. Lithosphere I didn't talk about is as because I'll be teaching you all or talking about it more in detail in the next lecture, where that will be dedicated completely to lithosphere that deals with the interior of the earth. There are two theories which are very important, very important for you all to understand and know, and that's the interior of the earth, Wegener's continental drift theory, Davis concept of cycle of erosion. So the next lecture is going to be on the second chapter, that is lithosphere.